with another video, and this is another one that's at an odd hour, so I have to mind my tone of voice at this hour. But I just wanted to appear with some insight that landed on me, and I had a clear insight, and I wanted to talk in part maybe what could be a really what could maybe amount to a life skill, to maybe like a I'm not sure what category of skill this would be, but if you think about a skill, right, like a lot of the things that are around us, like if you look at like a lot of products that we purchase, like for example, I'm filming, when I film these videos, I set the camera down on a very elegant chair that I was gifted from my family. My It belonged to my grandparents, but it's really just a really nice chair. And as you look at like the contours of the chair and the design of it, an ordinary person would have really no idea how some of the curves were fashioned, or how the more intricate points of the chair were fashioned. And like I think as we go into like a lot of different as we buy different products, or maybe go into different businesses, or maybe um contract different services, a lot of things around us we really have almost no idea how it was fashioned. And I think that a lot of the things that are fashioned around us are people in different fields have found a knack for something, which is like a skill in some area that you couldn't you as you approached something, you with your ordinary reason, with your logical reason, with maybe your emotions or your logic, you could not fathom how such a thing was fashioned. And that's actually because the dynamics of how a lot of things are fashioned are counterintuitive, which means that they are illogical, meaning that they're not illogical, but they don't they are they transcend logic. One plus one is two. Like they don't proceed in a logical fashion, and but that doesn't mean that logic doesn't apply to it, but they don't completely conform to logic, and therefore they are illogical. But these are the different knacks that people have arrived at in different fields, and then people kind of develop it and then monopolize that particular knack. So I think a lot of probably maybe some of the way that power is maintained in in society in general is just the way that a lot of things are they fall under a certain knack, and these knacks are counterintuitive. So if you don't have experience, or you haven't been you haven't been privy to a certain knack, then you can't do certain things, or understand certain things without that knack. And so what I wanted to really focus on is that just as maybe I had talked about in another video how I think that some of the ways that medicine I was talking about substances, but I'm overlapping substances and medicine, is that they function in a counterintuitive manner, where the effects that are being uh, the effects are not, they don't conform to linear logic, but they can be profound and invaluable. So, but what I wanted to just talk about is the counterintuitive nature of this reality that we exist in. And I think that might be one of the most difficult things that a person can one of the really most challenging aspects of our experience as human beings, I think, is to land upon our unique our unique vocation. And uh vocation might not be the right word, because that kind of still that kind of, I think we're still coming out of like the industrial age and the digital, and the digital age reflects um, uh, reflexes and influences from the industrial age, where when I say vocation, it sounds like something that you're employed in and that you receive monetary gain from. But I think uh, our existence as human beings is deeper than commerce. So our real function, role, in relationship to other human beings is deeper than our what we do to gain commercial means. Uh, but that doesn't mean that what we do commercially doesn't factor into our role in our existence. But I'm just saying that we are broader and deeper than these commercial relationships. But still, being true, or that being said, I think that it's very difficult to land upon our our maybe our strong suit and our 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 most our most empowered role. And I think some of that is because the reality that we exist in is I think it is counterintuitive. Like some examples are, you'll notice I was driving in a remote area recently, and I came across like a field of cows. And where I live in a in an urban, one of the larger cities in the U.S. Probably not probably somewhere between like maybe the maybe the 10th, maybe somewhere like between the 12th and the 17th largest metropolitan areas, I would imagine, in the United States. Um, but that being said, I don't see a lot of like animals, like farm animals, but there are a lot of farm areas around. You don't have to go too far to get into the country. And when I went past these cows, I don't know all of the the um the thoughts of like India, but I do know that they have a high regard for cows in India as like a sacred animal. And when I went past these cows, they exude a certain uh presence and force that is profound. Like I don't, they, like, a lot of us talk about, or a lot of us can imagine like like a yogi, like in a mountain area, like some serene picture of a yogi. We can imagine they would have like a very powerful aura or essence from their meditation and their lifestyle. But I think you can actually feel that if you go by cows sometimes, like they more so than you would in a human being, where they are so centered, peaceful, and they don't mean anything against anyone, and they're just existing in perfect peace. And what do we do with cows? We slaughter them. Now, a lot of times we think that um, the different things that happen to us, they happen for a reason, and there's a lesson in it, and it's all working out. But as far as we can see with the cows, they're completely obliterated and slaughtered to oblivion. And another example is like sometimes, like, you'll notice that if you treat people really well, they like, I mean, if you have like if you if you if you put forward goodwill towards people, um, of your, I guess I would say, of your own volition, if you make a point of being kind to other people, where maybe they haven't actually earned any of your kindness, but you're making a point to be kind, or that's your nature and who you are. Many times they tend to get nastier and nastier as you get kinder. And I think that some of these dynamics are like with people, and with like what we do with cows and peaceful animals, is just an example of the fact that this reality really does function in a counterintuitive nature, in a counterintuitive fashion, where um, uh, uh, because you do one thing doesn't mean that you will receive something in kind for what you're doing. I think like we have a lot of like uh, it's very difficult for us to to come to come to terms with the with I think with some of the 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 dark the less than the less than pretty aspects of our reality, and we you know we rationalize and we we project our hopes and we think that things will work out, but what we see is that many times things don't work out. So I just wanted to say that just to put forward maybe as a skill, like as one of the maybe as one of the most potent skills that we can have, and which is a, a foundation of many skills, is simply to recognize that uh, oftentimes um, uh, things do not unfold in a with with reciprocity, and things are actually functioning counterintuitively. And I think that recognizing that and being aware of that can maybe help us to be more effective or even more genuine. Just to realize that uh, that things are not uh, functioning uh, uh, in a in a logical way. And I guess the last thing I want to say is I'm losing some of the cohesion of this video as because I'm still kind of thinking about these things as I'm speaking. But I was listening to a book, and I was reading a book by um, uh, I think his name is Mickey Royal, and he had he lived a street life in Los Angeles, and he writes about his experiences on the street, and but he ties it into psychology, and he points out many interesting things in that book. And what he says is that most human beings, like as the natural state of a human being is not necessarily kind or good, like a you know like just like a typical a child will basically be naughty if left to their own devices, and then they are reared and taught to be good. So what he says in that is that we're born bad and we're taught to be good, and I think that's true in many senses. But I would say that maybe uh, another point of maturity is, so we're born um we're kind of we're born without a fixed compass, and then so we're prone to both good and bad as we're in our natural state, and then we're reared to kind of lean more and more towards being good, or towards uh um uh to 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 conforming to what we think is good. But I think that maybe another maybe the next step, the next phase is to come back to being natural again, because I think that maybe sometimes before we were educated and we were given morality and in in education, we had instincts that took us in both good and bad directions. But I would say that maybe those instincts are the closest that we have to arriving at genuine decisions and actions while faced with a counterintuitive reality that I think we really do exist in a counterintuitive reality. Um, so I'm not saying that we should be bad, but I'm saying that maybe we should uh, start to practice getting closer with our instincts, our true instincts, and maybe divorcing the sense um, of wanting or trying to manage things towards a particular outcome that we think is good, and really just going with our instincts and embracing what comes with that, come what may. Because I think we can. There's a saying that said that the pathway to hell is paved with good deeds, and I think that's another example of how many times we can do things that we that are of our own volition or that are preconceived to be good, but that might not conform with our genuine instincts. And then as a result, misfortune and pain comes from even some of our most noble intentions in this counterintuitive reality. So I just wanted to put this forward as food for thought, and maybe as a foundation for wisdom in recognizing the the um, the subtle ways that this reality is unfolding, and just again, but coming back to just being genuine and running with inspiration and instinct, without preconceived notions for a particular outcome. But I hope this is valuable, and I say keep up the work and believe in yourself.